On Triple M, you're listening to Rural Focus. My name's Holly, and every couple of weeks we talk to a member of the Triple R network, or the Rural Regional Remote Women's Network of WA. And today's chat is with Cara Golding. She's a partner at RSM. Hi, Cara. How are you going?
Yeah, good, thank you.
That's great to hear. Now, this chat comes at a very appropriate time as the federal budget was dropped on us this week, and I'd like to ask how this will impact, or affect or make a difference in our regional communities. So, this budget it's been pitched as an easing of cost of living pressures for our working Australians in regional areas, but Cara, will the average household actually feel better off, or will inflation and rising costs continue to sort of outweigh these tax cuts?
Look, honestly, I don't think the average household is going to feel any better off with the increase in interest rates, cost of living still increasing, the $100 fuel voucher, the small reduction to tax rates, your $250 offset and, $1,000 to put towards as instant tax deductions. I don't think it's enough.
One of the biggest changes is around negative gearing and capital gains tax. That's sort of the main headline of this budget. Do you think these reforms will genuinely improve our regional housing affordability, or could they potentially discourage investment and sort of reduce rental supply?
Look, I think with the change in the capital gains, we should see some extra supply as investors might be willing to sell before 30th of June, before they hit with the extra tax. With the changes in negatively gearing from 1 July, that you now have to build a house to be eligible for it, I think we'll definitely be able to see an increase in supply. My only concern, though, is how's this going to go with our builders? I know we're struggling to get builders, we're struggling to get tradies to come to our regional towns. So I honestly just don't think, again, this is enough.
Yeah, it's an interesting point, actually, and it'll be interesting to see if builders adapt or what happens there. Another thing, Cara, is the government's saying they're shifting the tax burden toward wealth rather than wages. Firstly, what does that actually mean, and is it a fair and necessary move, or are there risks?
Yeah, so it's just sort of means that as the wage earner, we're going to be reducing what our income tax rates are and just trying to put more tax for people that are investing and higher tax on those. And look, Australia probably does need this because, as a wage earner, we're always stuck with that tax burden. And over time, with our aging population and weak wage growth, this is something that's needed. Again, I hope it's done in a way that is still going to encourage people to invest, because we've been using the negatively gearing inadvertently to reduce our wages tax down. So with that going, the government need to be able to reduce it in a way that we're still going to get that investment and we're still going to feel confident to invest.
And then shifting to, of course, small businesses, they're getting measures like the permanent $20,000 instant asset write-off, loss carryback provisions. Are these enough to support regional, local businesses through a slowing economy?
Look, we've already had the $20,000 write off. The government are actually just keeping it. So that sort of helped businesses over the years being able to go out and buy bits and pieces to help reduce their tax down. So that's nothing new and nothing extra. The change with the loss carryback provisions, I think that's more focused around the government sort of leading us to be more companies and have companies. And this will sort of help small businesses and especially primary producers, I think, in a way that we can level out their income. A lot of income in regional WA is a lot more volatile. We've got tourism and those different industries. So being able to carry back losses when we've had a really good year, for those losses in the other years, I think that's definitely going to help with businesses and help with their cash flow going forward.
Another one I've got to ask about, Cara, is, of course, the NDIS, the spending restraint planned there. It's quite significant, more than $35 billion in projected savings. Of course, a lot of us these days know someone or are someone who have dealt with the NDIS. What impact could these cuts have on our regional and local Aussies?
Yeah, so NDIS has been in the news for a while as well, and there's been quite a few stories about NDIS. So we knew that the government was going to look at NDS and try and do something. I'm really interested in how they're actually going to roll this out. If their goal is to reduce waste, stop fraud, stop over servicing, then that's definitely essential for everyone. But they need to make sure that they're not putting extra paperwork burden, extra reporting and changing eligibility, because that's really going to affect those that are really vulnerable, because they don't have the capabilities to necessarily go and get extra support out there. So yeah, I think this is really going to hurt our families that are on NDS. So I'm wondering what the government's going to do to help support them in a different way.
Another one, Treasury expects inflation to ease, but then they're also forecasting slower economic growth. So, Cara, in your opinion, are we heading toward a softer landing economically, or is there a concern that this country could, tip into a, oh, dare I say it, like a recession style slowdown?
Yeah, I tried not to say that word, so I'm going to answer that without saying that.
Avoid it.
Don't alarm anyone. Yeah. Look, I do think we are heading towards that softer growth, and WA, we've been performing very well over the last few years, and so maybe this softer growth, a little bit of a slowdown might not be such a bad thing for us. It might help some of us regional businesses actually be able to find some staff, catch up on things that we've been trying to do, have a breath, have a bit of a breather. So if we can do it in that way and still be able to stay, as we are in WA, nice and strong, but a bit softer, then, maybe it will be still good for the economy.
You've given us a very fair, very realistic viewpoint on the budget and how it affects us. Some positives, some negatives, as there always is. Thank you so much for letting me pick your brains this morning, Cara.
No problem.
Cara Golding, partner at RSM and member of the Triple R network. You're listening to Rural Focus on Triple M.